Well, on one hand, we have been prevented from reaching Altia. On the other, now that actual literal demon Harden has actually left his room and people can see that he is a demon now, I'm sure this war will be over in no time. Others were murdered by Garneth. That was an unfortunate time. I do appreciate the backstory on magic. I always do like it when they give magic a sort of place in the world. It's not just, hey, I can fling fire from my hands. It's, yeah, you can manipulate fire with this book. The book was made to throw fire. That being said, though, I actually prefer the Game Boy Advance's take on magic, which is probably canon throughout the series, but considering the magic triangle doesn't really exist anymore, I guess I'll probably talk about that whenever I get back to the Game Boy Advance games. Because it really doesn't matter much here, because, I don't know, there's really not much light or dark magic. The proud sanctuary of sorcery, other than the last few incidents, and also that terrible dungeon that we've locked away an ancient evil in. Yeah, we've had some visitors from another country recently, and, it was kind of embarrassing that we just had that lying around. Okay, so this is actually a check, and it's one I'd never actually failed before until this playthrough. This is a luck check, and yeah, apparently I've just not had Iris with low luck ever before. And damn, apparently shit just happens all the time, but you know what? Honestly, I do feel pretty unlucky in this playthrough. This is not the best Iris I've ever had. So apparently God herself hates Iris. That sucks. Anyway, how's everyone? Strength potion, not gonna use it, but potentially useful. A might staff, that is a staff that increases strength, as you might have been able to guess. Of course, that second might staff wasn't a Star Sphere shard. Okay, good. It's not a might staff again. Goddamn. I was worried I was about to get 3 of those in a row. Not that it's a problem that would happen, but still. I don't expect anything from How's Everyone, but I don't expect getting the same thing repeatedly. Okay, so, I know I said I wasn't terribly fond of the first one, but I did say I actually like this support overall. Because here we actually get to the heart of the issue, and Marth actually does have a good reason for not wanting Seda on the battlefield, even if he didn't express himself correctly in the first one. Like, this is a legitimate concern, Seda does hate fighting, but also, of course, we get the fact that Marth is very self-sacrificial, because, you know, he hates fighting as well, and yet he expects himself to carry himself to a battlefield every single time, so, you know, Marth and Seda are just gonna work together so that they don't have to fight for as long, and it's really sweet. And honestly, like, idealistically, they're pretty close. And also, this is only the second support, and they've solved their problems. There's still a third support, it's not the end of the line, but, like, they actually complete that. They talk to each other, and they work through their problems in the second support, and I love it. Because, you know, they are fiancés. Fiancé. That is the plural, right? I don't think I've ever heard the plural fiancé. Well, whatever. They're about to be married, and I know we're talking to Ogma now, and this is also a pretty good conversation, but like, goddamn, I seriously love Marth and Seda's supports in this game, other than the first, but honestly, like, in the context of all 3 supports, I get why it exists, and it's actually really not that bad. It's just dragged down a bit by the fact that that is a trope that you see a lot, and it's always mishandled in any other bit of media. But yeah, honestly, Marth and Seda are like one of the only canon couples I like throughout the series. I mean, there are other ones that are good, but, you know, only semi-canon because they can't come out and say it. Cough, cough, Lynn and Florina, cough, cough, Ike and Soren. But, like, yeah, Alm and Celica, pff, they suck together. I do not like them together at all. What other main characters get together? Genealogy? That went horribly wrong. But yeah, Marth and Seda, actually pretty good, and as per usual, I wish there was more to them. I want to see them outside their supports as well. I just want to see them talking more, because again, I can actually see them as, you know, being married. They seem like they actually like each other. And again, they talk through their differences. I know I shouldn't be that amazed by that happening in a thing, but like, God, that was actually really well written. Again, as was the Ogma-Iris conversation, I hope you could read that and also listen to me go on and on about how much I like Marth and Seda, but yeah, sorry. I just had to ramble on about that for a while, because I really like that couple. They're good. Marth and Seda are very good. Also, again, Iris is fucking sounding like she is advertising the drill grounds. It costs money, true, but if you land a winning streak, you can really get some experience. Like, Iris, please. Iris, we don't need an advertisement for it. This conversation, I think, is less interesting. Oh, fuck, I just remembered! Another reason I don't like this conversation that we'll get to in just a moment. It's nothing about the conversation itself, but I'm angry now. Best line in the game, right there. So, how does Marth tackle this issue? Well, remember the last support? God damn it, Marth. Just... God damn it. No. Marth, why? Da 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 da. Yep, that's the end of that one. Anyway, we're gonna go off to the drill grounds, cause, as I said before, I gotta keep these supports canon. And you know what that means, right? Means I gotta send Iris into the arena. So, fun fact, if you die in the drill grounds, you die IRL. Like I believe I mentioned before, even in casual, if you lose somebody, they don't come back until the next chapter. Well, what if Iris happened to die in the drill grounds? What if that's a thing that happened? Also, goddamn, that magic. What if Iris happened to die, and then I got a game over on the preparations menu? What if that was a thing that happened? Wouldn't that be funny, huh? What if... And of course, this is completely hypothetical. I died in drill grounds, got a game over, wasn't expecting to get a game over in the drill grounds after 2 rounds, and had to redo all of the supports I'd read. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing? What if that was a thing that happened to me? I sure would hate that. Anyway, let's talk to Jagan, because of course that was completely hypothetical. I couldn't possibly get a game over in drill grounds before we've even started the chapter proper. That's just not a thing that would happen. Well, I mean, if anybody would know how to defeat Khadein, I guess it would be a bunch of nerds studying in a desert. Alright, so, you should recognize this chapter from Shadow Dragon if you've played or seen that game. And you should recognize this guy if you've seen Shadow Dragon, or more specifically a Khadein chapter in Shadow Dragon. You won't recognize this guy though. This is Yodel, he's the boss, and we've never seen him before, and we'll never see him again. So yeah, Etzel's here, we're gonna have to recruit him. But is there anything else we need to know? Well, this is quite simply Linde telling us that people have trouble moving around the deserts. A desert? Okay, slow down, I need to write that down. So yes, basically, mages and flyers can just move around the deserts as normal. So beware of enemy mages and Pegasus Knights, but bring plenty of those yourself. That being said, though, Cavaliers have a horrible time in the deserts, and Archers, well, shit just doesn't go well for them. If it has to do with movement, Archers get the shaft. Oh, and, by the way, I know I've already mentioned this episode, but, remember that thing about keeping support conversations canon? Well, it seems that Iris is already off on the wrong foot with Sirius here. She's usually pretty friendly to most people, but she is very much against Sirius wearing a mask. What makes me most suspicious is that high collar. No commoner would wear that. How dare you be good at fighting? Stop it. I don't trust you because you're too good. You're not just a knight, you're a paladin! Rip. I mean, it didn't sound like a blunt strike, but I guess you can have only so many sound effects. Alright, so guess who wasn't going to be joining us for this chapter? That's right, baby, it's Iris! You know how Iris hasn't been doing the best lately? Well, guess what? I'm removing her. She gets to sit out a chapter because Sirius knocked her the fuck out. And hey! Look who got a bath! It's Minerva! She's no longer dirty, which I guess means she's no longer on the verge of death. I mean, to be fair, if I get a bunch of smudges on my face, I also feel like I'm going to die. No, I'm just a huge fucker. And I did that by joining up with the least trustworthy wizard on the planet. I love how she just casually says that. What a fool you were, murdering your father. Remember when you commit patricide? Big mistake, buddy. I mean, yeah, you did. She did literally just say you were foolish. That is, thinking you are a fool. That's what that means, Macaulus. I have to save Maria. She's the only time I've ever noticed empathy, and honestly, it's kind of fucking me up, so I gotta go solve this problem to feel better. Okay, bye. No, this isn't canon. Nope. Iris is knocked out. Let's just say Jagan's saying this. Yeah, this seems like a thing that Jagan would say. It's actually Jagan. Just keep your eyes closed and don't look at the screen. Well, either or, really. It's Jagan. He's saying all the things that are being said right now. Oh, see, like if you open your eyes or look back at the screen, there, look, it's Jagan. He's been here all along. I bet you didn't expect to be gaslit by an LP, did you? To be fair, I didn't see that coming starting this either. I mean, he doesn't need to. I've been pretty good at not needing to sacrifice people thus far. Okay, so we've received warning that the Arcanian forces are coming up behind us, and while it's not Harden this time, I think you can guess who else it might be, and who else we might not want to kill for the time being. So with that being said, this map was the one Garnif appeared in the previous game. Of course, in that case we couldn't actually kill Garnif, because he did have I'm Hulu, and we didn't have Starlight. Of course, in that case, the gimmick was basically just Garnif's hanging out in the deserts, and so we just had to avoid him, or, you know, kite him around. That's what I did. Seda kinda just distracted him for a while. And, this guy mentioned a Sword Slayer, which I'll get to in just a moment, but, yeah. I believe I mentioned in Shadow Dragon, but I think I actually prefer the gimmick of this one. Again, this one was a lot more tense in my first playthrough, but that being said, it is maybe not one that affects gameplay that much, you know. It's a bit of a soft time limit, which, I don't know, maybe people don't think that's a huge gimmick or anything, but I appreciate it. I do like that we're being constantly chased, because it makes sense that we would be. Arcania is not just going to let up just yet. Anyway, though, back there, a dude mentioned the Sword Slayer, and I feel it's important to actually mention that, because the Sword Slayer isn't actually quite the Sword Reaver, which is a different weapon that's appeared in the series. The Sword Reaver reverses the weapon triangle, and I don't believe it's in this game. At best, it might be in that, like, Wi-Fi shop or whatever that is, but I'm pretty sure it's not there either. I just don't think they're Reaver weapons. Instead, the Sword Killer, or whatever it's called, I've already forgotten the name of it, apparently, it is actually effective against sword-based classes. And no, that is not, a class that uses a sword. It is specifically mercenaries and myrmidons, and of course their promotions. So basically, it's super useful in certain circumstances, such as fighting heroes, and here's why. The Sword Slayer isn't effective against a cavalier wielding a sword, sure. However, it's effective against a hero wielding an axe. It doesn't matter that the hero is not currently using a sword, it's just effective against the class type. So, yeah, as you might be able to imagine, it's, real good. Again, especially against heroes with axes, because then you get a damage advantage from the weapon itself, and you get weapon triangle advantage. So, yeah, I don't actually use it that much myself, but it can be a very good weapon. So, you might have noticed, but my strategy here is more or less just have Seda kill most of the thieves. She's extremely good at that. The stars say that you're an exciting and wonderful person. But, you know, they're lying. If I were you, I'd lock my doors and windows and never, 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 never leave my house again. Alright, so, we're almost at the village, meaning, I want to wait for today's topic a little while longer. As for the, lunatic mode changes, nothing really interesting from what I can see. It's just a couple of extra Wyvern Riders, which, in fairness, are dangerous, yeah, but, I don't know. I've seen more interesting changes before. That being said, though, as you can see, there are patches of grass here, so while Marth approaches the village and Seda just destroys basically everything with a javelin, you're going to want to stick to the grass as much as possible, due to the fact that that is actually better terrain to move on, because as you can see, it's still labeled plain rather than desert. So yeah, for your Cavaliers especially, you're going to want to keep to the plains, otherwise your movement's going to be very restricted. Alright, so it's been far too long. You know, 9 chapters is just such a long time, but we're finally getting Minerva. Macallus is normally a huge dick. Why did he do that? I mean, no, I think it's fair that you tried to kill Macallus. Remember the patricide thing? That was... But, okay, I don't really think Macallus is really worthy of redemption, even if he's trying to save Maria now, because he's a gigantic idiot, and honestly... like, you know who severed ties between family? Macallus did, with murder to his father. I feel we're kind of skipping past that. I feel Minerva was justified in plunging an axe into her brother's heart. She should have finished the job. So, of course, Minerva has the usual problem a pre-promote has, in that her base stats might not be quite as good as a unit you've been training up to this point. That being said, though, her stats aren't actually too bad. Some of her lower base stats are bolstered by her slightly higher growth rates, so for example, yeah sure that 12 skill could be better, but 60% skill growth rate is at least going to help fix that a bit. Not only that, her high starting strength and a decent strength growth rate means she's going to be very strong, and that 16 defense is actually really good. And sure, 30 defense might not raise it too high, but at the same time, it's better than certain other characters' defenses, and of course, 3 resistance is a lot more than a lot of other characters will have throughout the game, so honestly, all in all, Minerva's really solid. And that's before you factor in the fact that she has some great starting weapon ranks. An A in axes is great, and a C in lances isn't too bad either. And of course, she has her signature weapon Hauticler, which is absolutely fantastic, just like it was in Shadow Dragon. It's got some high might, decent crits, it can be used to recover HP. Honestly, its biggest problem is the fact that it has only 20 uses, which, as per usual, if you over-rely on it, you'll find Hauticler breaking far faster than you'd like, so do be wary of that. It can be used as a crutch, but if you want it around later, you're gonna have to go easy on it. All Virgos are extremely friendly and intelligent. Except for you. Expect a big surprise today, when you wind up with your head impaled upon a stick. Alright, well, until we talk to Etzel, I guess we're just going to go on to the next topic. So, did you think I was only going to spend 1 chapter talking about how hot a character is? Well, guess what, motherfucker? It's Bisexual Variety Hour. We're talking about Minerva now. So, yeah, Minerva. I fucking love her. She's extremely good. And I only wish she wasn't a pre-promote. I still like using her, because she's still a solid unit, and also the, DS game exclusive Hauticler really helps things, but, you know, would be nice if it were like other games in the series, and, Wyvern Rider was the base class, not an upgrade to the Pegasus Knights. That being said, though, guess I have to keep half an eye, because we do still have to speak with Etzel, and I don't want to interrupt that, but I also have to look at the Minerva gallery, because this is very important for me to do. So, Hero's artwork, not half bad. It's a pretty decent art style. But not my favorite design of Minerva. She's had quite a few, actually, which, again, like with Navarre, is actually kind of surprising. You know, as much as I like Minerva, she doesn't seem to be the most important, like, main character. Though, to be fair, I would have said the same thing about Hardin, but he's the main villain of this game, so... Anyway, though, there's some really good artwork. The Cypher series, which I mentioned in Navarre's episode, I believe, is all pretty solid. There's actually artwork of her as a Pegasus Knight, which I believe we're actually going to be seeing more about that in the bonus videos. because eventually I'll get to the point where I have Minerva and Paula together, and oh, here's your warning, Arcanian army's coming close. Thankfully, we're mostly close to the end of the chapter. Anyway, though, yeah, there's artwork of Minerva as a Pegasus Knight, which, in her backstory, she did used to ride a Pegasus, which, you know, mechanically, yeah, of course she did, because she eventually promoted and then got a Wyvern instead. But, there's other card artwork of her. There's one with her in a kimono. There's this one in which she's killing the hell out of some fucker. There's one as her as a sword master, in which she is wiping the screen, so I guess in this case the viewer is the fucker being killed. And then there's also the old trading card artwork, because there have apparently been 2 trading card games. Both designs are pretty good. And if this stuff would load, that'd be great. Hey, future me, could you put in some filler? We're still not at Etzel yet, so I have to stall. Damn it! Internet, why? Okay, so, thankfully future me's here to actually show off artwork, so I've been doing that, I'm sure. I actually like her, BS Fire Emblem design. It's a bit more unique. Of course, her face looks a bit different than her usual design, but she also has those, like, helmet wing things, whatever the heck those are. They're the little Dragoneer helmet things. I don't know what those are supposed to be, but, that's the only time at which those are actually used in her design, though it is consistent throughout the, BS episodes. It's used as both her, icon and in the cutscene portraits. And I think I've been through most of those, other than this really good sketch of Minerva by Yusuke Kazaki, who, if you didn't know, was one of the main designers for Fire Emblem Awakening. I believe he also did work for Fates. Apparently he also put in some of the cards for, or card artwork rather, for Thracia characters for the original Fire Emblem trading card game. But anyway, this sketch was on the wiki, and, you know, it may not be official art, but hey, one of the main designers for the modern games drew this and put it on his Twitter, so you know what, it's official enough to me, damn it. I would also like to draw attention to Minerva and Michaelis' gigantic hair in the manga, and Maria, who just looks more or less pretty normal. And then, of course, there's my favorite bit of artwork from the art book Fire Emblem The Complete, in which Minerva is in this fancy-ass outfit, and it is my favorite one. I wish this is what she wore in-game. I really love this fucking Gundam-ass outfit. It looks really cool, and Minerva's great. The artwork is so good that I'm using it as my pog for the Fellowship game I'm playing. By the way, the Fellowship game's on LP Zone, you should look it up, it's extremely good. As are all the tabletop games I've been in. Alright, and that's Etzel. I guess we'll talk about him. Without reclassing, the Sorcerer class is one of a kind, and to make matters better, Etzel's also a pretty solid unit as well. Now, while Sorcerers aren't common in the DS games, if you at least know the class fairly well, you should know that they're generally fairly potent and defensive, just a little on the slower side. And, well, 11 magic ain't bad to start with, though. A 40% growth rate with magic, of course, can be a little bit iffy. Then again, considering resistances in this game, I don't think that would be a problem personally. Maybe you think otherwise. That being said, though, Etzel's also a pretty hardy unit. 80% growth rate for HP is fantastic for a magic-type class, and while 30% defense and resistance might not be the best growth rates, a 10 and a 12 as a base stats? Like, those are pretty good as base stats go. So basically, Etzel is a relatively tanky magic caster who can use B-rank tomes and can also heal. His biggest downside, unfortunately, is the fact that, if I remember correctly, sorcerers are actually promoted units. I don't usually use them in the DS games myself. I know in the later ones, sorcerers are definitely the promoted ones, but I don't think Etzel gets a promotion. And if I'm not wrong about that, that is a pretty big downside in that he doesn't have a lot of time to grow. That being said, he's certainly a fine crutch, and as long as you don't get unlucky, he won't be too bad later on either. So yeah, Etzel's a really solid character. I'm not going to be using him, but you wouldn't be making a mistake by using him yourself. He's not really got much of a personality in this game, though, to be fair, I haven't really seen his base conversations. Though, to be fair, his personality in the last game was, has a dead wife. And I'm pretty sure she's mentioned offhand. It's not like she disappears completely, but yeah, that's kind of Etzel in the previous game. He had a dead wife, goddammit Linda gets some magic, and here he's just a very nice mage, but like, I don't know. He just seems like a lamer version of Canis, who, you know, I still love Canis, he's great. Etzel, you know, solid unit, but, like, considerably less cool? It feels weird saying cool because, of course, their character type is that they are gigantic nerds, so, like, I don't think cool is the right word for it, but, you know, you get the point. I like Canis. Etzel is just Canis, but less so. Anyway, though, yeah, I've actually managed to fill out most of the time here, because we're just about done. We've killed those annoying swarm users, which is good, because honestly, with the desert impeding your movement, and of course, at this point, swarm is still a tough spell, those two swarm users can actually kill you pretty easily. Your best bet is basically just, you know, sending forward your most resistant units and keeping some decoy units, you know, just barely out, well, not out of their range, within their range. And try to keep them, like the person you're using as bait, separate. Like, don't let them be attacked by the same swarm user, because if you do, then, well, you could get killed easily. Earth, show your fury! Baloney! Oh, well, shit, it missed. Damn. Earth's fury is considerably less, intimidating when your Bulganun misses. Oh well, anyway though, yeah, he's really not that tough. Yodel is not the worst boss. Obviously, he's got the advantage of magic, but other than that, he's not a great mage, so, like, I don't know. Honestly, Sirius could have done the job if I had given him a, javelin. And even if he had been hit, he wouldn't take that much damage. He's one of my more resistant units just by virtue of being a paladin. And by the way, one of the NPCs in the houses does mention that we're not going to see many houses in the next few chapters. Now, I don't know how that woman just knew where we were going, but she is correct. We're not going to be seeing standard shops for quite a long time. If you need anything that's not just like a standard weapon, you're gonna want to shop now. Use all the money you can if you don't think you're going to need it, though. That being said, I would like to say you shouldn't use too much because, do remember, secret shops exist, and we haven't seen any in a long time, which means, odds are, we're going to be seeing some soon. And by odds are, I mean, we're going to be seeing a lot of secret shops soon. And not a bad level up, a little bit sparse, but some important stats. And yeah, that's the end of Yodel. He, kinda regret his actions by the end there. Hey, wait a minute, maybe this was stupid. Maybe we did a bad. I don't know, I've just got this feeling. Alright, I'm probably not going to buy too much from the vendor just because I usually don't. Like, I never use pure waters. They have their uses, of course, especially in this game, you know, when almost nobody has resistance, but I don't know, I don't use it myself. As for door keys, they're really not going to have much use, so unless both your thieves died, don't bother. Also, I really like the guy who just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna go the same direction as everyone else. I'm just gonna cross the fucking river. I'm going to show Khadein I'm determined by getting my shoes wet and killing the Altian army. Yeah, that'll get me a promotion. To what, I don't know. We can't overclass in this game. I'm gonna be a hero forever. Well, to be fair, I didn't have to cut it this close because I could have ended the chapter earlier, but, I mean, because I decided to heal at the end here, those heroes are actually kind of drawn a little closer than I'd like. Thankfully, though, you might notice the castle has a moat around it, so while those guys have been pursuing us before, I think we'll be safe as soon as we cross the bridge. Yeah, he did. That's a thing he did. Totally. We'll just say America's more impressive than he actually is.